everyone, welcome back this week. I think it was I guess it was 2 weeks since I recorded a video for you, because last week you had one of our student guests presenting. This week, I want to talk a little bit about your outlines and the upcoming essay, and I want to talk about the topic this week and also the ethics from last week. So, just in terms of your outlines, as I mentioned in the grading, most people did really well on those. I think where people were struggling was the bringing together of the theory and then the topic and employment. So one of the things that I mentioned to really a lot of students is the labor force participation piece is the central piece of your essay, right? So you're going to talk about whatever topic you're talking about and whatever social justice angle and theoretical lens as informing something about labor force participation. So I just want to be really cautious with that. I will say as well that I mentioned to a lot of students, if you're struggling, come and see me during my office hours. Tomorrow I have to change the time because I have another meeting I can't reschedule. So tomorrow will be 11 to 12:30 will be my office hours. So please come and see me if you want to talk through your paper or your arguments. But yeah, overall, with your peer review, that all got back to you. And it sounded like people really appreciated and worked well together for the most part. So that's really great to hear. Take that feedback that your group has provided with you, that the individual who was in charge of your paper provided with you, and use that as you craft your final essay. I want to just reiterate, as I said yesterday too, that the final essay is marked with a lot more scrutiny than, for example, your weekly activities, right? So as I said yesterday, it's really important to me to have low stakes assignments throughout the semester. So those are the activities, so that you're able to think, you're able to take some risks and critically assess the situations. But the expectation for the final paper is that it is an academic paper. It is written, in a formal academic way, and that you present strong arguments. So I just don't want to give you a false expectation because you get 100% on your weekly activities, that's how that's going to look for the paper. So the paper is a much more sort of stringent assessment of your argument. And again, we've had the opportunity to do the outline and the peer review, so hopefully you're in a good place. But like I said, if you need some assistance walking through this, please reach out to me. Crystal's going to hold a session as well for questions in the evening. I will post that, or she will post that when that's going to occur as well. Okay, so this week, again, we're talking about contributions to providing employment support and key principles around employment support. So you've been asked to look at 2 readings this week, so chapter 6 from the textbook, and also the article about icebergs. So I'm just going to walk through that a little bit in terms of thinking about employment support. So if you think way back to, I don't know, maybe it was week 2 when you compared different models of employment, supported employment was one of those things. That's usually with people who need pretty significant assistance with their job search. And this article was talking about people in the mental health sphere specifically. And how does individual placement and support, so IPS as they call it there, how does that help or hinder people's ability to both get and maintain employment? Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes here and my camera's over top of them, so I'm just going to move myself there. Okay, so they talked about things like accommodations and the most common kinds of accommodations that people need to have or work best with are things like flexible hours, modified training and supervision, and modified duties. Okay, so again, if we're thinking about this being in a mental health context, that makes a lot of sense. But they also note that half of IPS clients, are no longer with their employment within 6 months. So that's not a super great stat. So they looked at some themes around what creates positive employment supports and what causes barriers. So they talked about navigating the iceberg and that it's a very hard place to be. And I think probably all of us can relate to looking for employment. It's scary and it's not very good for the ego sometimes. Territory to sort of to navigate, so that it's really important to recognize that when working in employment supports. They talked about how when people are treated as partners or equals, so instead of clients, partners in this employment journey, that they had a lot more success. And I think that's a really important thing to think about in employment supports, because there is a power dynamic of the professional and the client usually, and thinking about how to diminish that or how to negate that is really important. Taking individuals' needs and ambitions seriously. So again, if someone comes to you and says they want to be an electrician or an engineer, I don't know, whatever, space explorer, taking those ambitions seriously and seeing how can you work with that. And supported employment is about pursuing what people want to do versus what you think they can do. The supported employment provider having knowledge and about the system, about specific mental health conditions or challenges that people are dealing with, and being able to navigate that through the system was also highlighted as really important. And exploring with people. So again, like checking out all of those things. I always found when I worked in this industry that it was really important to have, we called them all parties meetings when I worked for workers' compensation. So to really get on board with the employer there and the injured worker in that case there. But so everybody's on the same page, so everybody is listening to the same information. And as the employment support person, to be able to think about ways that you could accommodate people into different roles, being really open to exploring that. Because again, often employers don't know what to do to accommodate people, right? They just don't think of it because it's thinking outside the box. To be available, so being able there to be a support person to, in supported employment, often the workers will go into an employment situation with the person, and they will help train them. They will help, make those accommodations, and when they're needed to come in for backup or to help work through a situation, being available is shown as really important there. And so that goes into the next with site coaches and training. So yeah, being on board to be there with someone, like down in the trenches, working alongside someone as they're learning their new job. And again, if there's a hiccup in there, perhaps the supported employment coach goes back in to work with that client and the employer again. So that's sort of that article. And then chapter 6 talks about theories of career development. And I think this is an important place to put this as you think about theory when you're developing your essay. And like all academic disciplines, there are theoretical stances, theoretical positions on employment and career matching theories. Career theories. Career matching is the first one. But I just want to say too, so you're going to go through, and I'm going to attach a PowerPoint slide that's from the previous time I taught this course, but it has some good information, and I've left the notes there so you can see them. And to go through what are career matching theories, what are career development theories, and then what are career responsiveness theories. So you can go through these different 3 types and see what's in there. And one of the things you're going to find it's in the slides, sorry, I forgot for a second there, is a link to the National Occupational Classification. So the NOC, it's called. And that's a system where all jobs are sort of classified. So you should be able to find anything there, and it's done by 4-digit numbers. So I just want you to go in and play with that for a while and see. It'll tell you average pay, education, job duties, physical requirements for different jobs. And that is the tool. It doesn't really matter sort of what people think of it. That's the tool that's really used significantly in employment services. So that was what we depended on wholly when I worked for workers' compensation, but even in working in not-for-profit, that was what we used to write employment plans, and that's how you are trained to understand different types of jobs. So take a look around in there, search by job. So what are you thinking you'd like to be after you graduate here? Like, everyone wants to be an occupational therapist. So you type that in and see what it says. There's also another one called ALICE, ALIS. That's an Alberta-specific labor market information site. So I'd suggest you look at both of those. But yes, also do run through this PowerPoint slide deck, and you can just read my notes underneath. I thought I had recorded on it, but anyways, it doesn't seem to have a recording. So all right, so that's all for me this week. Take care, you guys, and this is sort of just interesting, sort of thinking about the background of employment. Oh, and the PowerPoint slide, sorry, too, also has a section on ethics, so it's kind of a review from last week. Okay, take care. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.